Let's start with the job that had the least power in history and work our way up to the most powerful one on this list. Number 5, knocker-upper. Let me place you in a simulation so you can truly appreciate this job. It's 1850. You're a factory worker. Your shift starts at 5 a.m. There are no alarm clocks. What do? A. Trust your internal body clock. B. Hire a human alarm clock. C. Just stay awake forever. If you chose A, you're fired and probably starving now. If you chose C, you're dead. If you chose B, congratulations, you've just hired a knocker-upper. Now here's where it gets interesting. These human alarm clocks didn't just knock on your door like a normal person. No, that would be too easy. Mary Smith, an absolute legend, decided the most reasonable approach was to arm herself with a pea shooter and literally assault your windows with dried vegetables until you woke up. And yes, before you ask, this was a legitimate profession that somehow survived until the 1970s. The 1970s, when we had already been to the moon, some British guy was like, they can put a man on the moon, but I'm still getting pelted with peas every morning. They earned just a few pence per week. But get this, knocker-uppers wouldn't leave until you actually answered. Oh, and the question everyone asks, who woke up the knocker-upper? Number 4, leech collector. You know how people today complain about their jobs sucking. Well, let me introduce you to a profession where that was literally the job description. During the bloodletting craze, which just for the record was definitely legitimate medicine and not completely insane, France imported 40 million leeches per year. Someone had to catch those slimy little vampires, and that someone decided the most efficient method was using their own legs as bait. Here's how a typical day went. Wake up, probably wishing you hadn't. Walk into a swamp, stand there while parasites literally drain your life force. Get paid almost nothing. Repeat. The leeches would feast for 20 minutes, and even after removal, the wounds would bleed for up to 10 hours. So basically, you're a walking juice box for worms. William Wordsworth even wrote a poem about meeting a leech gatherer, calling the work employment hazardous and wearisome. But wait, it gets worse. The most resourceful collectors used amputated human limbs when available. Just imagine explaining that at a dinner party.
What do you do for work? Oh, I collect medical leeches using severed body parts. Pass the soul.
The job died out when doctors finally realized that draining people's blood wasn't actually curing anything. Shocking, I know. Number 3, resurrectionist. Before we continue, let me ask you something. What's your stance on recycling? Because in the 19th century, some entrepreneurs took recycling to a whole new level. With human bodies. Fresh corpses were basically the Bitcoin of medical schools. Between 1506 and 1752, only a handful of bodies were legally available each year, but medical schools were multiplying faster than a virus in 2020. These weren't just grave robbers. They were grave robbing professionals. To one end of the coffin, place a sound deadening sack, snap the wood using soil weight physics, extract the body. One 1891 newspaper reported ghouls getting $80 per corpse. That's $100 in today's money. For reference, that's more than most people make in a week at their very much alive jobs. But here's where it gets spicy. People got so tired of their deceased relatives getting stolen that in 1896, someone patented a coffin torpedo, an actual bomb that would explode if you tried to open the casket. That's not a job hazard. That's a boss battle. Number 2, Gong farmer. In medieval times, they called it gong farming. Today, we'd call it a living nightmare. These were the people who literally harvested human waste from cesspits, and society treated them exactly how you'd expect. The rules for gong farmers were basically, do this essential job, but also, we hate you. Only work at night. Live only in designated areas, aka nowhere nice. Don't die from toxic fumes. At Hampton Court, during Queen Elizabeth I's time, these guys were paid 6 pence a day to be up to his knees, waist, even neck in human ordure. In 1326, a gong farmer named Richard the Raker became history's worst workplace accident statistic when he fell through a rotten cesspit ceiling and literally drowned in feces. His friends probably didn't even want to give him a proper burial. Just leave him where he is. Number 1, whipping boy. Imagine this job interview. So what's the position?
You'll be friends with the prince.
That sounds great.
And when he misbehaves, you get beaten instead.
The concept was simple and completely unhinged. Princes were too divine to punish, so they outsourced their punishment to a designated friend. It's like having a stunt double, but for child abuse. William Murray allegedly took beatings for Charles I, then leveraged that childhood trauma into becoming the first Earl of Dysart and the king's groom of the bedchamber. Here's the kicker though. Modern historians think this job might never have existed. So either medieval people were crazy enough to beat innocent kids as proxy punishment, or they were crazy enough to make up stories about beating innocent kids as proxy punishment. Either way, not great. And before you complain about your 9 to 5 again, just remember, at least you're not standing in a swamp covered in leeches, or worse, explaining to your medieval LinkedIn connections that you're a waste disposal specialist. So help a noodle out. Thanks for watching. Peace.